his story, A Child's Christmas in Wales, Dylan Thomas wrote, "I can never remember whether it snowed for 6 days and 6 nights when I was 12, or whether it snowed for 12 days and 12 nights when I was 6. Now, Dylan Thomas's memories of his childhood Christmases are probably as unreliable as my own. But it's not the snow I remember, though I know there always was some. No, the things I remember are the Morecambe and Wise Christmas specials, Two Ronnies, Dad's Army, Hayley Mills endlessly presenting Disney time, while my Auntie Mag snoozed away the afternoon with an uneaten plate of turkey sandwiches balanced precariously on her knees. What I can never remember is whether those turkey sandwiches lasted for 6 days and 6 nights when I was 12, or, well, all I know is they seem to go on forever. Just like all those TV Christmas specials. You see, I was very much a child of the television era. But children these days, they don't know what a good TV Christmas special is all about, do they? This Christmas, I bet a lot of families will be warming themselves around a roaring computer, rather than the more traditional, crackling TV. The season of peace and goodwill will be evoked by games such as Doom, Mega Race and Tank Commander, rather than the more wholesome pleasures of a good variety show, with sleigh bells, holly, and gently falling flakes of expanded polystyrene, an open fire, and a smiling host in a chunky knit sweater. In my day, you could rely upon a nice festive show with Andy Williams or Johnny Mathis, Perry Como or Val Doonican. The hosts on the whole were pretty much interchangeable, only the sweater stayed the same. And do you remember, they always had a rocking chair and a heartwarming song. You know, this is a time of year that's very special to me. And I'd like to take this opportunity to share some of that specialness just with you. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, ba-ba-ba-bum. Now, the game I'll be playing this Christmas is likely to be Space Cadet 3D Pinball. This is included in the Microsoft Plus add-on pack for Windows 95. There are plenty of other things in Microsoft Plus too, including a web browser for internet users, some fancy desktop wallpapers for fancy desktop wallpaper users, and an enhanced version of the Drive Space disk compression software, which is every bit as slow to get up and running as its unenhanced original. Well, I started compressing my brother PC's 540 megabyte hard disk at around 2 o'clock one afternoon, and it was still compressing busily away when I went to bed shortly after midnight. But let's not dwell on all that. This is the season of goodwill after all. As far as I can see, most of the best potential Christmas presents this year are multimedia programs. Microsoft's Multimedia Wine Guide, for example, would be an excellent choice for the discerning drinker, whereas pet lovers might enjoy one of the Roderick Manhattan guides to cats or dogs, which cost £39 each. Now, being a cat lover myself, I was quite taken with their cat guide, which includes an encyclopedic reference to different varieties of cat, though my own cat's variety is unfortunately a bit too indeterminate to merit a mention. And on the subject of my cat, I'd have to say that I wasn't particularly impressed by the cat guide's video clips of a very soppy looking Persian pussy being groomed and bathed. I tell you what, if I tried shampooing my cat like that, I'd be 1 or 2 fingers short of a hand by now. If, on the other hand, you were looking for a gift for a gardener, you would be spoilt for choice. The trouble is, most gardening programs aim to help you design a garden, which strikes me as a perverse idea somehow. In my experience, gardens aren't so much planned as just kind of happen, whether you want them to or not. But for chaotic gardeners like me, I think the Garden Companion from One Stop Software is a fair bet. Costing £39.99, this is a reference guide to around 1,000 different plants, which is great for armchair gardeners, though not, to be honest, as good as a book. But if you want to give someone a present that's a bit more on the bizarre side, I can wholeheartedly recommend the After Dark Screensaver Totally Twisted, £29.99. This features such esoteric delights as people and cows sitting on flying toilets, complete with optional sound effects, a gang of farting, vomiting, sexually precocious chameleons, and Phlegm Boy, about whom I think the less said the better. if it's a futuristic Christmas you're after, you need look no further than Star Trek.
I don't agree with that.
It sometimes seems to me that there are as many Star Trek spin-offs for the PC as there are Star Trek episodes for TV, and that's a lot.
Hey, hang on. No, you can't just fade me out like this. Look,
There are inevitably some after-dark screensavers, including the unimaginatively entitled Star Trek The Screensaver, featuring Kirk, Scotty, Spock and the rest. Then there's this one, Star Trek The Next Generation Screensaver, which includes such highlights as Commander Data dancing the rumba, cha-cha and foxtrot, and Councillor Troy making use of her mind-reading powers to come up with observations such as "Your efforts will not go unnoticed," and "You have many fine qualities." Well, yes, it's true, as a matter of fact I have, and I'll be sure to pass on those insightful comments to the PC Plus editor when next I see him. Ah, hi there Dave, just talking about you. There's also an After Dark Star Trek Screen Posters screensaver, which basically just flashes photographs from the Star Trek films onto your screen. Each of the After Dark screensaver packs I've mentioned will set you back £29.99 inclusive of VAT. And there are tons of Star Trek games, such as Spectrum Holobyte, snappily named Star Trek The Next Generation A Final Unity, at a mere 50 quid. This is a kind of graphic adventure game with a soundtrack that includes the voices of all the principal actors in the TV series. And if you still haven't had enough of Star Trek after all that lot, then it's time for you to boldly go onto the internet. The internet is crawling with Star Trek pictures, sounds, facts, trivia, and downright silliness. If you're serious about this, you need to get a book called Net Trek, which costs £17.49 from Random House Publishing and which contains details of a huge number of internet Star Trek sites. There is even a site devoted to the Klingon language, not to mention a surprising amount of Star Trek erotica. Now, a lot of the saucier Star Trek stuff can be found on the internet news groups. For starters, try out the ones called alt.sex.fetish.startrek and alt.sexy.bald.captains. Although much of the internet's Trekabilia is straightforward fan worship, you may also come across such diverse offerings as love stories featuring Spock and Kirk as the chief protagonists, and some very unseemly, not to say totally unclad, pictures of some of the actors who've appeared in Star Trek. I should explain that there are in fact many pictures of apparently nude celebrities on the internet, and some people say that these are faked by putting one person's head onto another person's body, though frankly I don't believe that. And now there's just time for me to wish you all a Merry Christmas and finish with a song. Chestnuts roasting round an open fire, your frost picking up.
I was promised a proper part, you know. This isn't what I had in mind. Sitting here all afternoon like this, my head's stuck in a box. I was thinking more Lady Macbeth or Hedda Gabler, perhaps. If you want my opinion, I think he's afraid of the competition. That's what it comes down to. He's afraid I'll upstage him. That's what the trouble is. Well, if he thinks he's getting away with this, he's got another thing coming. OS2, I say. Integrated packages.